Good evening and welcome to Middle East Unfiltered. This evening I'm having a special guest. His name is Wiser, and why Wiser, you ask? You will soon find out. Wiser, hello.
Hello, I'm happy to talk to you and thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to be live with you and talk about the faith which is called Islam
Yep.
and see, yeah.
Wiser, let's start by saying, first of all, that Wiser is an ex-Muslim from Iran.
Okay.
And we're starting tonight a whole series of, I hope it's going to be every Wednesday night, if it's possible. And we're gonna discuss Islam. We're bringing facts about Islam, and I think it's very important. It's very educational because people have seen Islam when they see Islam, they think about religion, and we need to set the facts that Islam is not a religion. So, but before that, let's start with a little history, Wiser, about Islam.
Yes. As an ex-Muslim, I was grown with, in fact, Islam in a family and in society which praised Islam. The fact about Islam is not that clear as we think. There are two ways of looking at Islam. Uh, one way is to look at the within the Islam, the textbooks, hadith, and the Quran. And the other way of looking at the history of Islam is through archaeology and evidence base and based on methodology, historical methodologies. But the problem is based on the realities and history and evidence, there are very little evidence about Islam. We don't know really how it starts exactly, except few documents, early documents. One just referring to a warrior who is promoting a new religion through war and sword and bloodshed. We call it Jacobin doctrine, which was written by a Greek Christian in early years of Islam. And within the Islamic, textbooks, also there are so many ambiguity, but they are trying to give you a very detailed picture of the history of Islam. And I think within the Islamic textbook, if we want to look at it, that's a different story. But remember, there are lots of contradictions, lots of ambiguity, and as much as you dig into that, you find more questions rather than answers, and that's sometimes terrifying. And people don't myself and many scholars in Islam, for example, they don't feel comfortable about that even. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, so the reason I thought about talking about Islam from the first place is that this channel is called Middle East Unfiltered, and it wouldn't be complete without discussing Islam. I took a look at what cult is, and there are many characteristics of a cult. So I'd like, Wiser, if you could help me, we'll go through one by one every characteristic of a cult and see how it goes with Islam. So,
Sure, I think you're right. Basically, there is a sharp difference between Islam as a faith and others, if we can call it a faith or what else. So that makes it different. And you are right. if we look at the concept of cult, maybe we can get more, I mean, familiarity between a cult and Islam rather than a religion or anything else. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so I divided it into five categories. The first one is leadership and authority. Um, so you have there one leader, okay, one single leader.
Yes. So,
He's
so base.
charismatic, okay, and all the others need to be obedient, charismatic leader, and it demands unquestioning loyalty and obedience. How do you see this in Islam?
Well, in Islam, the Prophet himself, which is called Muhammad, for some reason, he is the main figure, and everything is about him and around him, basically. So, for a Muslim following uh, Muhammad, the lifestyle and what he did is a very important thing. So nobody can, in fact, question him or his lifestyle. Um, Everything in his life is praised in Islam. Nobody can question it. And if you question the way he was living or what he was saying or this and that, you may face death. And it's a very, very serious crime in Islam. So, yes, even after
And
his
even,
death, yeah.
sorry, Weiser, even if, if you look at the higher, their so-called God, Allah, okay,
Mm.
um, in Islam, Allah doesn't have boys and girls, children. He has slaves.
Yes, yes.
Islam is
So
submission, right? The meaning of Islam is submission.
submission, yes, total submission, in fact. And in Islam, you have to follow what God has dictated you. It doesn't matter if it's logical or illogical. The only thing they want from you is following his orders. And that's the scary part of it, because it leaves basically any sort of reasoning or any other side of critical thinking um, useless. So you just need to follow this creator, which is called Allah, through his prophet, which is Muhammad, basically.
Mhm. Okay, let's go to the other one. Elitism. So the group claims special status or divine insight that sets it apart from the rest of the world.
Oh yeah, basically, um, the in Islamic faith, or cult, if we call it, the thing is, you cannot mix and mingle with other people or other faith. So you have to be 100% dedicated to the religion. You need to be basically isolated from the others and get all you need from those who call themselves scholars, or so basically those who are defining for you what is right and wrong, and you cannot decide for yourself. For example, think about the subject and decide, okay, based on my thoughts or my reasoning, I'm going to do this and that. So basically, there is always someone to take care of you, to tell you what is right and wrong and
Hmm.
what you should think. This is the way it is. So you are always related and depending on someone to tell you what to do or what not to do. And if you have a question, you need to ask them.
Hmm.
So it's a very, very strange situation. Yeah.
It is, yes. The third one is we call it doctrine over person. So the leader's teaching or ideology take precedence over members' well-being or ethics.
Oh, exactly. So basically these factors or characters you are mentioning are very much um, um, interrelated with each other. So if you think of, let's say, you think there is something which morally seems okay or ethically is right or is good to do, but in fact, you are not allowed to decide by your own self or your own morals. So the morality basically have no structure in Islam, rather than, in fact, some dictated orders. So if you want to think about something, okay, what to do or what not to do, it's just you need to find out what is said about this or that. Or if it's not the case, you cannot follow a specific moral basis or a structure. So the religion tells you what is good or not, even if it seems different to you.
So
Yeah.
basically, in Islam, a person does not count. The
No,
leader.
no, not at all. Yeah, not
Hmm.
at all. Yeah, it you can't until unless I mean, if you are basically considered to be a useful asset for promoting Islam, or participating in jihad or collecting money or these sort of things, you are not considered as a human being, like someone who has his own,
Sorry.
can make decisions. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the first category. The second one is about control and manipulation, and we have a lot to talk about this. Total
Well, of
control.
course.
The group regulates members' behaviors, emotions, and even private lives. We see it from the Quran and also from the Hadith that actually they're being told what to do, how to behave, how to drink, how to eat, how to dress.
Exactly. So practically, in Islam, there is no way of, in fact, being, independent, being your own, on your own. So everything is dictated to you. Um, Someone is controlling you in somewhere. So, for example, if you want to go out, and you have a dress, usually the dress code is very defined for you. So if you want to have a certain lifestyle, everything is defined for you. So you have a very narrow, uh, basically, uh, choice, very narrow choice. So what to drink, as you said, what not to drink. Even sometimes they tell you, this is not time to drink or eat. For example, during the Ramadan, if you say, okay, I want to drink, I don't want to, for example, fast, then you have to face punishment. So, art, let's say, you can't really do any art you want. In many cases, even poetry is forbidden. Making sculptures, painting, um, music. So everything, you are limited to very, very clear, frame. Yeah,
Okay. Fear and intimidation, threats of punishment, shame, or spiritual doom, keeping members obedient. And we see this a lot in the Muslim world. If you do this, you get this.
exactly, exactly. Especially for women. I mean, women are the first, in fact, um, in this front. They are the first to be punished for smallest reason, or for smallest, um, reason. So, they punish you in a way that basically you think that even this punishment is good for you. So, if, for example, a woman is punished by her husband, they say that okay, this punishment is not, you shouldn't really avoid it. Even basically, this punishment helps you to go to paradise or reduce your sins, so it's good for you. So in many cases, people are even okay being punished. It's a very funny thing. Um, and for example, they cut the hands, the if you do a small, if, for example, you steal a small, uh, even food, for if you are hungry, or or different things. So there are many cases that the punishment is applied to the woman or men, especially women, for very, very, very small things. If you just don't follow your husband, what he has asked you, he has the right to punish you. These are there are many things. So by that, especially children as well. Children are not basically, they are considered the assets of the father. So the father has complete ownership of the children. So in many cases, the misbehaving against children is left without any consequence. So there are many children who are traumatized, who are punished, who are even disabled based on this sort of social behavior in this cult. Yeah,
Mhm. You mentioned critical thinking before, so this is the next clause: suppression of critical thinking. Questioning or doubting leaders is forbidden or punished. And you know that in many like Muslim countries, basically, you don't see art, you don't see music.
sure.
Just the other day in Iran, in the center, this is what they do in the city center. A little
Mm.
boy
Mm. Yeah, and
was
even
because
or
he
even
listened to music.
yeah, or even philosophy. I mean, as a subject, a student of philosophy is considered haram. Basically, is considered forbidden in many Islamic sects, and so basically, you cannot read Quran and logically question it. So you need to admit to what you are said and what you are told and what you are basically taking from the scholars, from hadith or from Quran. And if you are going to use your brain, the power of your brain is just for, in fact, in fact, um, trying, you use your brain to justify Quran or to justify the hadith. This is the limit they define for you. So going beyond that, if it's going beyond that to question the authority of the Islam, the Quran itself, because in Quran there are questionable mistakes, scientific mistakes or fact uh, or historical mistakes. If you are going against that, to question that, that's haram, that's forbidden, and it's punishable, and you may face death consequence as a consequence. Yeah,
And the reason that critical thinking, you don't see it in Muslim countries or Muslim societies, is very easy. The reason very simple, because once you use your brain and you think, they are afraid that you know the truth and this is not good for you and you
exactly,
can leave.
exactly, exactly. So you can see this in any religion that stops people from critical thinking, or it's if it is punishable by death or anything like that, or forbids you from doing some activities. So basically, if you look at the Islamic world, you see, although they may have money, although they may be very successful in some aspects of life. For example, in the Persian Gulf area, you see some countries, they are living luxury based on oil. But if you dig into those societies, Islamic society, you don't see people are doing scientific achievement or inventions or making the things. They are mainly consumers, and they even don't know how to consume the things. So the thing they last for long. Or so basically most of the Muslim countries are living in misery rather than those who are living based on oil, in fact. So that's a big problem in Muslim societies. You don't see in Islamic world, they are huge in number in many countries, but you don't hear from them in achievement, any sort of achievement in science or technology or any other things. They and those who are doing some research or some scientific achievement, basically they are not living in their own societies. And to be honest with you, I'm desperate to see a Muslim country or Muslim record of, scientific achievement, but I haven't seen that yet.
Hmm. Okay. The next clause is control of information. There's this word again, control. Outside media, education, and independent thoughts are restricted.
Oh, yes, this is very dangerous for a cult. If your people get to know about the other side of the world, or if the other side of the world get to know about you, and usually they don't want you to see how the others are thinking about you, or they don't want you to hear what the people are saying about you, because they may tell the truth and you may hear that, and then, well, as a human you may think of that. So they really don't want you to know about that. They want to keep you isolated from the world, and you can see it from most of the Muslim society. So usually they don't let the children to talk to others. They don't want you to have social connection with non-Muslims and different things. They started from very beginning, from the childhood, and especially for women, because they are very important for them to keep them isolated, because they are going to breed children, and if they are smart, those children will be smart. So that's something unfortunately happening in Islamic world. Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to have another podcast about women in Islam.
sure, sure.
Um, so the next category is about beliefs and worldview. Exclusive truth claims. The group, the cult, okay, insists it alone possesses ultimate truth or salvation. How do you see this in Islam?
Well, this is all the cult says that. So basically, nothing out of their belief seems to be the truth. So anything within their circle is defining you for you the truth. So the truth in a cult or Islam is not what we see or we experience as a truth. This is something they tell you this is the truth, even if it's not the truth. Um, Anything regarding nature, anything regarding morality, anything regarding your lifestyles, everything they are telling you must be considered as the truth, the fact. So there is nothing in Islam just tells you or encourages you to go and find out the truth yourself. So
So
they will
everything is
tell you
dictated to you. That is what
exactly
you're saying.
everything. Yeah, yeah. And even if something is not seems doesn't seem logical, still it's the truth. Yeah. So
Yeah, we said
so
you cannot question it. Like
no,
you
no,
should.
no, 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 no. no.
Okay, so then
They don't let you to go and investigate yourself and find out the truth. So truth is what they tell you. Um, so yeah, as an
okay,
independent person, you are not able to find out the truth if that's not if it's contradicting the Islam. Yeah.
the next two we're going to have a lot to talk about. It's us versus them mentality. So it's like Islam against the world means the world
Ex-
means we call it, kuffar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
by the way, they
it's
took it from Hebrew kofir, which is a non-believer.
mm,
A believer is ma'amin in Hebrew, mu'min, and in Arabic. So it's they call us the non-believers, you, me, others who don't belong to this belief. We
mm,
are called infidels. It's in the Quran. We're called infidels. So we're seen to them as evil, ignorant, unworthy. Am I
exactly.
right?
So
Am I
they
right?
create a yeah, they create a distance between the Muslims and non-Muslims in Islamic world. So you cannot touch them, you cannot talk much to them, you cannot have a social relationship with them, you cannot take them as your friends. So basically, there is always a distance between you and the non-Muslims. So it's like a invisible wall around you. So this is the way they isolate you, especially children. And I'm very sorry about the children when they tell them not to talk to the other children if they are not Muslim, or don't play with them, or don't share your joy with them, or don't let them uh, uh, have shared um, events with you. So everything is different. They separate you from the childhood, and when you are grown, you are looking at the other side of the world as a stranger. So everything is a stranger to you, and you don't know how to deal with the other people. That's the sad side of it, and that's the basis for a lot of aggression between the Muslims and non-Muslims that you see. They 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 have a lot of aggression against non-Muslims because they basically have this mentality of hostility against the others and a sort of separation between themselves and the other. And they don't know what to do, even they if they want to do to mingle with the others. It's a very sad world. It's a very isolated world and controlled world, to be honest. Yeah,
The next one is deception,
exactly. Yeah,
takia.
yeah.
So they recruit people.
Mm,
The people who are recruited are misled about the group's real belief or goals. They only find out when they are really deeply involved. Um, and we see it. We see it these days. What's going on, UK, Australia, right there, that they give away for free Quran to people, which is, by the way, it's not the real version of Quran. They make it softer, like it's a very nice belief. Everything is peaceful, and we know it's not the same. So deception. Can you tell us what taqiyya is?
well, yes. Basically, um, lie in Islam um, is not forbidden if it is for the purpose of promoting Islam or many other things. So you can easily lie, and uh, so there are circumstances where you lie, and basically, um, in this situation, there is no way that you are, responsible for that. They are not considered as a guilt. So you can deny, you can basically pretend not to know about anything. You can lie, you can use fallacy, um, and different way of doing this. Each one has a different name. They have different way of lying. And it's very interesting that in Quran, one of the uh, attributes of the God is is a word they call it. When you call someone a tricky person. Um, um, so he's also attributed as the trickiest tricky, or the uh, he's this attributes to the God is as the most deceptive um, of all, shows how a Muslim thinks about the lie or taqiyya. So basically, you can do anything to, in fact, save yourself from, or make advantage, to take advantage of non-Muslim. So if you want to take advantage of non-Muslims in business, in anything, or if you have done something wrong, you can just lie and put the other side in difficulty if it's not a Muslim, for example. And that's halal. That's for them is completely okay.
It's
Um,
it's
yeah,
allowed. So a
yeah.
husband, a Muslim husband, can lie to his wife.
Oh,
It's
that's
okay to
true.
lie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay to lie during a war. It's okay
yeah,
to lie during a debate to your opponent.
yeah.
And yes, there are 6 ways to lie in Islam.
Yeah, I tell you something. It's very interesting that you are allowed to steal from non-Muslims in based on Sharia, based on Islam. So I imagine if there is a Sharia law in Islam, then in UK, for example, I don't know what will happen, but you are basically allowed to steal. I remember when I was a kid, I had a friend of mine who used to take some of the assets from other children, but he was telling me that his father, who was a clergy, a mullah, has advised him it's okay for you to take, non-Muslim children from non-Muslim children, to steal from them. But he was feeling guilt, and he was telling me about it. So those are just childhood memory that I have from the education, Islamic education. And that was very sad for me. And still I remember that. Very sad.
Yeah, some things, you remember for life.
Sure, sure.
Um,
And
mhm.
it's really, yeah, it's really, it doesn't feel good, It's like, yeah,
So when we talk about takia, I want to refer to something that, I find it very odd that some people still think that they're moderate Muslims. And they need to know that this is also a type of a takia. It's called
oh,
muruna.
yes.
It's called muruna. Like I said, there are 6 types of takia, 6 ways to lie. One of them is called muruna. Muruna is a temporary suspension of Sharia to make Muslim migrants appear moderate. Appear, again, like we think they're moderate, but they know they're not moderate.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so there is no moderate Muslim, and there is the word. If you think about it, even people who say, "Oh, this is radical Islam," it's also wrong to say because Islam is radical.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you something. For example, even for example, Muslims are ordered, for example, not to eat or drink at a table where there is wine served. But um, a Muslim can easily come with you and sit on your table, I mean, at your table, and while you are drinking wine and talk to you and joke about everything and this and that. So basically, it's just to show you how social they are, how nice they are. It doesn't matter for them, if you are drinking wine or what and what. But in fact, he's not allowed. But for the sake of, uh, I mean, um, promoting himself or bringing you into their circle as a Muslim, as a new Muslim, they try to basically pretend that everything is okay for them, but it's not. It's not. So, for example, um, in cases where, based on Sharia, for example, the, if they want to, in Muslim wars, they cut the hands for stealing, like very small thing. It's very, very sad. And in many cases, just to show a good image of Islam, they may not do that, but or do it hiddenly. So they still cut the hands, but not in public, and they never confess that they are doing it. So there are so many ways they are trying to show a softer version of Islam just to promote themselves an ideology or bring more people into their circle. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Wiser. The next category belongs to exploitation and commitment. The members are manipulated into giving money, labor, or sexual favors to leaders. Can you elaborate on this one?
Oh, yes. I mean, basically, um, um, it's just if you just look at the Prophet himself, he was a sex machine. Basically, he had different wives, different ages, from different, I mean, tribes, or even he married his adopted son's wife, and that's a sad story because he fall in love with Zainab, who was based on Islamic, in fact, hadith. His adopted son Zaid, he found her attractive one day, and he said something, and then uh, they noticed, and the son divorced the wife, so let her marry the Prophet himself. So he was given permission to marry as many as women he wants, and there is a verse in Quran about this, that it says you are exception for marrying as many as women you want, and there is no limit to your desire. So take as many as you want. It's written in Quran. I don't know if it's not exploitation, sex exploitation, what it is. So if you marry a 6-year-old girl, I mean, when we say 6 years old, it's in um, uh, lunar calendar. Even it's smaller than 6 years old, and you sexually enjoy her at that age, until you are permitted to, based on their belief, 9 years old, which I don't believe that's he 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 married her at 6 anyway. So he had all the right to pleasure himself from her, to please himself from her. So from that age to any sort of woman she could take, and nobody could say no. Um, so practically, it's very similar to the cult, and we know the cult leaders. If you look at the cult leaders in especially in U.S., Japan, or other countries, they show exactly similar pattern of sexual, basically exploitation, and also earning money from them through different names. In Islam, for example, they call it zakat, or they call it homs, for example, in Shia as well. So you have to pay your tribute to the leaders of Islamic world, and they spend it on what they claim to be poor people and this and that. But that's not the case. It's just they are most the richest people in the country, in the Islamic world. If you look at how much money they have and how they earn it without doing a single work, hard, I mean, manual work or anything, they are so rich, nobody can compare with them. So they are exploiting them, yeah. And there are stories about the wealth of the caliphs and Muhammad himself. um, and remember, Muhammad, um, after his death, that's a very sad story, forbid his wife to marry anyone else. So you imagine, he had very young wives. For example, Aisha, I think she was under 20 or 20 something. And for a young woman not to marry at that age, it was possibly a very sad situation at that time. And he forbid them to marry. And this happens in many cult leaders as well, that they don't want to expose their private lives to anybody else. Um, so these are the things. These are the sad situation in Islamic world. Yeah.
That's very sad. The next characteristic is excessive demands that members must dedicate extreme amounts of time, money, or energy to the group.
Oh yes. As a Muslim, you always need to pay, contribute to the Muslim world, um, and most of the time, that's very interesting thing, because um, there is a term in Islam which called waqf. So it means that your land, you can dedicate your land to the Muslim world for promoting the Islam by making madrasa or making mosques. When I'm saying madrasa, means religious school or anything else. And this piece of land will be in the hand of the Muslim uh, authorities forever. So you imagine people, when they are dying, just to do something good, for example, for the Islamic society, they in fact, um, mm, give the authorities, the Muslim authorities, the ownership of the land. So they take over the land, and it will be their for them forever, for for the purpose of promoting Islam or this and that. But usually they use it for their own purpose, for making money, and they earn money from those lands then by making different things, even for commercial purposes on those piece of land, and nobody can basically question them. And they take rent from those who are working them, or they have to pay them. And there are, in this way, in many places in Islamic world, finding a piece of land which you have the complete ownership becoming more and more difficult. So everything will go to the leaders of the cult, and nobody knows where this money is going, to be honest. Um, so it's a very sad story, very sad. And this has happened in many countries, especially from the country which I am from, that big parts of the towns or cities, or they belong to this um, basically establishment, Islamic establishment. Yeah, it's very sad. Yes.
The last three characteristics, I call them isolation and dependence. Isolation, why isolation? Because members are encouraged to cut ties with family, friends, and outside influences. I think it's also part of control that they don't know what's going on. They have to, like, if somebody converts to Islam, he can't
Oh
talk with
yeah.
his family anymore, with his friends anymore.
No, we have many examples. You are forbidden to talk to your family. You are not allowed to invite them. Uh, Everything is controlled, and if you object, they will punish you, and they have the right to do that based on Sharia law.
I think
Um,
I think it's connected to the us versus them mentality. Once you get
exactly.
to this cult, you cannot have ties with the other ones.
No, no, you cannot. And there is always a as you said, us versus them mentality, which creates always a separation between the two. So even if you, for example, you want to talk to your brother, sister, I don't know, mother, father, it should be always very limited or controlled or not at all. So you don't have the right to decide for yourself. Somebody else will decide for you to who you talk and how much you're allowed. This I've heard it from many converted Muslim women, women who are converted to Islam, and they are shocked after being converted. So initially, they are in fact married to a man, especially women to a man, and then they take all their rights, and they usually limit them to the house, or maybe very limited access to, I don't know, activities, outside activities. But it's always, she's watched, and in fact, mm, she dares to, she don't dare to, she don't dare to do anything against the will of the husband or the family of the husband, basically. um, Even the brother in law, or um, anybody from the husband family can easily reach her and punish her, even if she travels, even if she, escapes, even if she go, you know tries to get rid of them, they will chase her, and they try to punish. So it's very, very um, um, controlled situation. Um, I was reading few months back about a certain cult in the U.S., and I found that it's very much similar to many stories I heard from especially new converted women to Islam. And I don't know why women try to give up their freedom and become a Muslim. I don't know. To me, freedom, although might looks a little bit sometimes difficult if you live in a free country, but that's something so valuable that you don't want to lose it. But unfortunately, I don't understand that. Why?
It can happen, I think, because of a few reasons. I mean, you don't know the
Mm,
background of the woman, of her
mm, mm.
situation, emotional situation, and plus
Yeah,
the fact that
yeah.
they use taqiyya, like we said
Mhm.
before, they give away free Quran, which are not really correct.
Yeah,
Everything's a
yeah.
lie. So we're going
Even,
to talk
even,
about it anyway. We're going to talk about it when we talk
yeah,
about women in
yeah,
Islam. Don't
yeah,
be different.
yeah, yeah. True.
The next clause, harsh consequences for leaving. Wiser.
Oh, oh,
Yeah. Anybody who's
that's,
a former Muslim, an ex-Muslim, okay?
yeah.
By the way, Muslims call people who leave the cult, they call them apostate, but I'm not a Muslim, so I'm calling you an ex-Muslim.
Mm.
So you know that when you leave this cult, you're sentenced, you have a death sentence basically over your head.
Well, this is really a dangerous situation, especially in some countries. It's even clearly mentioned in the law, um, and it has the most severe consequence for you. So if you leave the cult just by saying that, so in Islam, you can convert to Islam with few sayings, and you can leave Islam same way by few saying, I'm leaving Islam. I don't believe in Islam. Or if you say something against the Prophet, um, so the penalty is death, definitely, and it is obliged to any Muslim. If they find you, they have to kill you, and for them it has a big in fact, God will give them in paradise so many things that um, so it's eh, going out of Islam is a big punishment. It's a big crime, and um, to be an ex-Muslim, to be honest, in many cases is very dangerous. But these days, I see a lot of people, especially women, who express themselves as an ex-Muslim, and this is really good. And I think we can talk about that in a different time.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
myself, I encourage especially young people to leave this cult and exercise their rights. Maybe the word um, living in freedom might be a little bit strange for you, might be unfamiliar to you, but it worth it. It worth it to practice your freedom, your rights, and breath oxygen. You know, um, something which possibly many young people never had a chance. So I especially think young people, I encourage them to consider that leaving Islam and do some study, do some thinking, and take your own ownership. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I hope somebody out there is listening right now, and he basically listens very carefully to what you're saying.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yes.
I mean, I hope there will be more and more organizations to help, especially young, um, ex-Muslim, especially women and girls, to basically um, pace this more safe and easily.
I hope so too. The last one is ritual and repetition. Repetitive rituals, chants, or routine reinforce dependence and obedience.
Mm, mm,
By the way, when you ask a Muslim to, when you hear them praying, there is not even one spirituality in this belief. Nothing.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, I think rituals in Islam are very important. Everybody knows, and usually the rituals are distractive. I mean, um, if you are working during the day, you usually want to keep yourself focused, work hard, and but in fact, in Islam, leaving for example, um, any of those rituals creates a burden on you, and it's very sinful, and you have to compensate it. And if you do not practice those rituals, you usually considered a stranger, or you are considered sinner, or you something very heavy. So I can say Islam is very heavily depending on rituals. 5 days prayer and on certain times, fasting in 1 month, uh, and basically having a very unusual and unhealthy diet style during the day makes you really a bit nervous and sick. I remember um, a friend of mine who was beaten by his father for not praying in the early morning, because you need to wake up um early morning during the day and do your prayers before sunrise. And for a young man or woman, um, possibly it's the time when you have the deepest sleep. And I remember he was badly punished because he was young, very young, like 10, 11 years old. And he was badly punished by his father by not practicing, or you need to read Quran exactly the same way of um, Arabic, accent. And that is also punishable for many. There are so many things. I mean, even fasting. If you eat in front of someone who is not eating and is fasting, and you say, okay, I can't fast, I want to eat, you might be, you know, somehow being punished. Or if, for example, during the day, it's forbidden for you to eat in this, if you are hungry in the street and you have a sandwich in your pocket and you want to eat it, then they will take you and they will slash you in back. And if it's repeated, then you will be more severe consequences. So it's, to me, it's too much. It's too much of strange rituals, strange punishments, and unfortunately, uh, this doesn't help the society to grow with higher morals and uh, high IQ and high, in fact, level of problem solving abilities. So it really reduces the society into ashes. And we can see it in Muslim communities. Um, it's very boring. It's very, um, it's even themselves, they don't want to live in their own societies. They prefer to come to the West. And unfortunately, when they come to the West, they, instead of adapting themselves, they are creating their own isolated uh, societies. And this circle is continuing, I guess. And unfortunately, the Western society somehow is participating in this, um, how say, um, mm, in this repeating this circle of, um, you know, I can say, mm, strange or non-human circle of life. So this way of living. So to me, um, we need to be very careful about this situation and how the society is suffered. Really, Muslims themselves are really suffered from themselves. Yeah.
Oh, sir, I know it wasn't easy.
No, no, no. It's not easy to live in uh, Islamic society. Not at all. Not at all.
Do you have anything else to add that you want to add?
Well, I hope, the only thing I want to say is I hope young people, if they hear or they want to really um, um, understand the what's going on in especially in their society in Europe, um, I mean, be aware of that before it's too late, because as soon as Islam takes over, as soon as they are finding they are dominant, um, they will destroy that society. They will chase you. They will not let you live the way you want, and they will take over. And that's the fall of the civilization in the West. For maybe 1,000 years, West could save itself from the the Islam, but if this time you fail or West fails, there is no other, in my opinion, chance of um, survival even on the earth. Everything will go. Everything will be destroyed by this cult. No art. You imagine you are living in a society which you have no music, no art, no dance, no, I don't know, joy, nothing. And you're just restricted to some rituals, and somebody decides for you what to do, what to eat, what to read. And even science will be dismantled. They don't have any, science has no value for them if it's not going along with the Quran, or the way the things that they believe. So everything will go. Everything will be destroyed. This is my message to the young people, especially in the West, just to be aware and try to help young friends of yourself if they are Muslim, and try to help if they want to really get rid of that. Yeah.
Wiser, thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Yeah, we're going to continue with this series about Islam.
Yeah.
So next week, we're going to speak about another topic in Islam,
Sure.
another
Sure.
important thing, because I think
That's
it's very important that people know what it is.
sure. Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, listeners. You're
Hope it
welcome to
helps.
listen.
Thank you.
What did you say, Wiser?
Hope it helps. Thank
Oh,
you.
I know it will help. Yeah. And so, listeners, if you have any questions or comments, put them there in the comments, and we are going to relate to them in the next time we meet. Until then, thank you very much and take care.
Thank you.